After rumors, National Security Advisor John Bolton would be sidelined for the upcoming Singapore summit. The White House now says he will be along for that trip. President Donald Trump will also be joined by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Chief of Staff John Kelly. The on-again, off-again meeting with Kim Jong Un was in jeopardy after Bolton's Libya Model comment about a month ago. So for more on this, we're going to talk to former U.S. diplomat Jim Jatras. Jim, always good to see you.
Likewise, Manila.
So Team Trump has confirmed now that the National Security Advisor John Bolton will indeed be a part of the entourage for the Kim summit next week. As we said, it's rumored that Bolton was the bird in the president's ear trying to derail the summit. You called that there was a saboteur. You called it on Monday. You might very well be right. Bolton was locked out of that Oval Office meeting when the North Korean spy master was visiting. Why would Bolton want to derail this meeting? And now, why would they want to allow him back on the trip?
Well, as far as why he's being allowed back on the trip, I think it would look funny if you have a meeting like this and the National Security Advisor is not there. What's going on between Mr. Trump and Mr. Bolton, I can't tell you in detail, but I don't think he's the only one who does not want this summit to succeed. Remember, Vice President Pence also said something about the Libya model. We've had some carping from the Democrats on Capitol Hill about what they expect from this summit. Look, there are a lot of people around this town that don't want a deal on Korea. They don't want to end the Korean War in the sense of reconciliation between the two Koreas. What they want is regime change in North Korea, a unified Korea allied to the United States, and American troops on the Yalu River on the Chinese border. That's not going to happen at this summit. In other words, what I think Mr. Trump hopes to achieve here, especially what President Moon of South Korea also wants to achieve, and I understand he will be at the summit as well, is that there will be a peace, an end to this 70-year-old war on the Korean Peninsula and some kind of a roadmap toward denuclearization, but also political reconciliation.
Now, seeing as Moon, as you mentioned, will be there is he kind of the third wheel? And what role then will the big elephant in the room, China, do you think they're playing a role in this too?
I think both China and Russia are playing a role behind the scenes with both Koreas. Let's remember, the Chinese and the Russians, they obviously have their formal relationship with North Korea, but they both also have excellent ties with South Korea. And I think Moon is far from being the third wheel here. I think in some ways he's been the catalyst, the driver to keep this thing on track. And I think that President Trump is sympathetic to that. I think he and Moon are pretty much on the same page.
Okay. And many are viewing those Libya model remarks from a few weeks back as obviously a major gaffe as to why Bolton was kind of booted out of the way and made room for Mike Pompeo. He's kind of stealing the spotlight, I think. And we've seen evidence of that over the Easter holiday when Pompeo went to North Korea before he was even sworn in. Pompeo went back a second time just a few weeks ago or just a week ago. Does this seem like it's a race to be the teacher's pet?
I think there's some element of that. There's always some element of that in any administration where everybody is trying to elbow the other guys out of the way to get to the emperor's ear. I mean, it's just in the nature of these kind of politics. But I would say Secretary Pompeo is directly and personally invested in this summit. He's the one who's been going to North Korea to try to make this thing work. And I think he wants to deliver for the boss to show he can do that. Now, in terms of policy perspectives, how much does he really differ with John Bolton? I mean, it does seem odd to me that Pompeo's demands on Iran are in some ways the ultimatum that some people like maybe Bolton would like to deliver to North Korea. So I don't know how much of it is policy versus personality and rivalries within the White House.
And so what we're hearing is that Trump has been advised not to make any concessions at all at this summit. How is that diplomacy? You're a former U.S. diplomat. How is that diplomacy? Isn't it supposed to be a little give and take from all the parties involved?
Sure, and this is where you might say sabotage round two comes in, is that having failed to stop the summit taking place, what you want to do is load the boss up with a bunch of non-negotiable demands that will make sure nothing good happens at the summit. Will he fall for that? I don't think he will, but I think that will be part of the aim, is to say, well, you must demand this, demand that, demand the other thing, and offer them nothing, as opposed to what we're hearing from a lot of other people, including President Putin, who met with Kim recently, that this has to be a dog walk. This has to be, we do this, you do that, we do this, you do that.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it there from former U.S. diplomat Jim Jatras. Thank you, as always, for sharing your insight with us.